Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ayyuhan nabi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa ala ibadi Allahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. That is with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We ask that all of the blessings be upon all of the prophets, and that all of the blessings be upon the righteous followers. I bear witness and open testimony that there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I bear witness and open testimony that Muhammad is his messenger, the prophet of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Upon him be the prayers and the peace. Then Muslims, we extend to you once again the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. We are now into our Islamic Perspective Hour, and I am your host today, Imam Tamir. We'd like to go right into our topic matter, and as is my habit, I like to work from the back to the front, meaning that I'm going to start from the last thing that we talked about on Friday and work our way back up to the beginning of the talk. One of the things that we discussed Friday was really the support of the Muslims, and not just Muslims. We just started with that. I exclusively singled out Muslims, the support of Muslims for former President Donald Trump. And we was discussing actually the moral aspects of that, because when you break it down, there's not much of an appeal in terms of what we would be looking at former President Donald Trump for as president. It's just not a lot there. And so with that being said, I want to find and share with you, hopefully I can pull it up. There was a piece, and I'm pretty sure everybody probably have read this right about now. Brother Bashir Assad, he sends these texts out on Fridays on a regular basis, and a lot of us receive them. This one came out and it was so timely, and I had intended on mentioning it Friday at the Juma Khutbah, but as is always the case, my mind was racing, and I was trying to abide by the time schedule, and as they say, trying to get it all in to inform you of the information that we have prepared. So we want to go right to our great leader and teacher, Imam W.D. Muhammad, rahimahullah, and what he says about this particular subject matter. He says, I believe political awareness is the awareness of how political involvement betters or worsens our situation. Now, I'm going to assume that Imam Muhammad didn't even look at the definition that I shared with you all Friday with the word policy, which has a very, very similar connotation. Once again, the word policy, it is the wisdom in the management of affairs. The wisdom in the management of affairs. That means all affairs. We have to establish some kind of policy. Policy allows us to govern what it is we are trying to correct or we have a goal that we want to reach. 2, it's a definite course or a method of action. So it entails that some action, that some movement be done. And the action or the course is selected to guide and determine present and future decisions. So here we are juxtaposing both of these expressions, and we can see that once again, Imam Muhammad was on point, because by him expressing, saying that political awareness is awareness of how political involvement betters or worsens our situations, in the same way with policy. In policy, it's going to determine our present and our future decisions, which is going to pretty much determine our situation or what we're going to be in. Question.
Think about how he mentioned prior to that, where there are four sections in society, where you have religion, government, education, and business.
Yes.
It would be wise to use that first section, but it's also level three. So our situation would be better.
Yes. And to your point, the reason why our situation is not better, because we won't adhere to those simple, basic principles. Yeah. We don't have a lot of respect for wisdom. And not to disparage anyone or anything in particular, but that's just one of the many hindrances that we had as a result of slavery, post-slavery, Jim Crow, et cetera, and the conditions that still exist. We tend to take for granted that things are all right now because we don't visibly see the outright physical oppression that's going on from those who oppress us. That's because they have adopted real sophisticated methods now. And so they don't have to come out and do those things that they used to do physically, beat us, physically detain us, all of those physical things that were done. But in saying that, understand that's what the whole MAGA movement is about. They want to go back to those times. They want to go back, and that's to make America great again. At what point was America great? It was only for a certain section of people, and that was the oppressor. So they considered that that time period was great enough for them that they want to revisit it at whose expense? Ours. At ours expense. So as I likened it to the ad and the Talmud, because the mentality is the same. Here 1,500 years later, the mentality is still the same. Those characteristics that the Talmud and the Ad displayed against the people who Allah had placed in their care. Allah raised those communities, the Talmud and the Ad, and gave them the influence and the power and all of those things that they had amounted to with the intent that they would do the masses right. But as the case came, as the history shows, and as we read in the Quran, that wasn't the case. The more power that Allah would bless them with, or the more blessings he would confer upon them, the more distorted they got, the more corrupt they became. Yes, sir.
Same idea was given to the Jews.
Yes.
That's the only reason they are called children. They were supposed to have a developed society where all people could use as an example of human excellence.
Yes. One thing we should understand about that chosen piece, it's not exclusive to them, as we well know. Allah has always chosen groups of people. He tells us something in the Quran. When he chose, it said, you are the best community to come forth, promoting what is right, forbidding what is wrong. So this has always been a thing that Allah has done for people, providing that they would seek him out. They would have to seek him out.
Otherwise, you're going to get punished.
You're going to be punished. And actually, it's a punishment that you brought yourself into, as I was expressing Friday. This the Arabic expression, a term la'ana, curse, is defined as something that you bring on yourself. Yeah. And once again, Allah is absolved from what we try to ascribe to him as punishments coming from him. That's why he tell you the first thing, say, look at your hands, look at your deeds. So right away, that takes him out the picture. So there's no way in the world that you can just outright blame Allah for the problems. The only thing you should be, if it's going to be a blame, you blame Allah for the lesson that you should be learning, that you should have learned from that. You know, let that stick with you instead of blaming Allah and thinking that there's an escape from it. Because if Allah's to blame, as Allah once again, as He expresses, if He brings something against you or takes something from you, who was there to defend you? Who was there to stop Him from doing? When he told the Christians, if I take Jesus away, who gonna stop me? Who gonna stop me? So these expressions are manifested, and they are manifestations for all time because people of wisdom always find a way to those expressions and wrap their spiritual development around those expressions. Imam, he goes on to say, he says, the one thing we must understand before we discuss political awareness is that all forms of human awareness begins with moral awareness. I stop there. Yes, I stopped there because once again, this was my approach to first and foremost Muslims supporting Donald Trump. We have to look at the moral character, and we have to look at the moral character the same way we would any leader. And Allah has guided us that in terms of leadership, that they must measure up as close as possible to that of Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Brother Imam?
So that's why when we go back into the history, and Allah gives us the history of Pharaoh in the Quran, and He shows us how Moses went to Pharaoh and how he challenged him.
Yes.
And the challenge, though, for us is a reminder of the kind of leader that we should be looking for.
Yes.
You know, a person with ethical awareness, moral awareness.
Yes.
All the attributes that will enable him to be the kind of leader that's pleasing toward Allah.
Yes.
So Moses went through all of that, you know, and it showed us also what we should be seeing. So when I look at this situation with the leadership in America and realizing that America established itself off of what the history of the past, the Egyptian empire, basically, and that the president is always going to be even whoever's in the office, but the choice that you have between the two parties, the Democrats and Republicans, I look at it as good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, but then that really focusing in on the values, the ethics, the morals, you know, of a good leader.
Yes.
Whatnot, you know,
Yeah.
but they want to sell us like they are. Listen, I don't see, you know, I'm so confused as far as voting this situation that I think I'm just gonna send my ballot in, but not put anybody down.
Brother Imam, that's why I mentioned Friday. And once again, I'm being cautious, not trying to give my own political persuasion or opinion, so to speak. But when you look at that group called the uncommitted, it looks very appealing because they're not uncommitted because they're confused and they don't know what to do. They are focused, very focused, and they actually know what to do. And they're taking a stance because because what they're looking at and what we should realize and look at too, whatever leader comes into that White House, that policy is going to still keep going on. That policy to support these war regimes, these dictators, is still going to be going on. And so until we get leadership that will abandon that, we're going to always have good cop, bad cop relationships with either party. It's never going to be exactly right for us. And to that point, once again, former President Trump, don't lose your thought, if we was at all to consider him for leadership, the only way you would even give a minimum of support to him, as it expressed in Islam in the terms of the Taghut, The Taghut, a corrupt leader, a corrupt person. We are told in some expressions in the Hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that if a leader is Taghut, corrupt, and they do some things that are corrupt, as long as they don't take you from the kalama, we have a certain obligation to follow them in the things that are good. We're not going to follow them in the things that are bad, but we have to support what's good, even though overall in general, we don't want their leadership anymore. So until something is done about that, then we latch ourselves on to the goodness or the good things that they're putting forth. Sister Ryan?
If you're a person that lives in this, like in the environment that I'm living in, you can see who Trump is. And I live in that environment of narcissism. He is a covert narcissistic person that wants to control everyone, everything. And that's out there. It walks in every religion. And if you look at the world, like Iran, they're still fighting for their right. And they're winning every time, but it's like you gotta keep going and going, and it's blind. And then you look at Afghanistan, and the people are like, oh, well, we'll just take it like you were saying, and just walk forward. And now all the women are covering. I mean, it's very sad to see all these things that are happening in the world and in our country, and it's very sad.
It is. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was just thinking once again, our situation and what we are in, this is the most desperate political times that we have faced in decades. This uncertainty and the clarification once again for the Muslims is to look at this thing the way we would say, what would Muhammad do? What would Muhammad do if he was here today? What position would he take? And it's so clear. We just read it. He would take the moral high ground. No doubt, no questions asked. He would take the moral high ground, and everything else will fall up under that umbrella. Because that's the substance. That's the real substance. Sister Taida?
Same thing, what was Prophet Muhammad would, if you see it from his vehicle, what he will have to say about that, and our leaders, Imam W.
And I'm quoting him right now. I'm already quoting his position, and it's reflecting the same as if we knew Muhammad the Prophet was here, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would take this position. He would be concerned with moral awareness, because the moral awareness also connects to your spiritual development. And when you're spiritually developed correctly, you make sound, wise decisions. It's so connected. It is so connected, and it's such a simple process. And Allah made it that way. So you won't be able to use excuses like, oh, they made the process so hard, I couldn't make a decision, I couldn't decide. He made it plain. He gave us some fundamental characteristics to look at, and that is a morality. Yes.
Strong, really thinking, just like Imam W. said, same thing.
Well, to your point, if we were to do that, we wouldn't really be as confused as we seem to be in this plight. We will move forward as a monolith, getting the things done that we need to get done. But one of the things the prophet prophesied about, prayers and peace be upon him, and we discuss it, we talk about it a lot. He had prophesied that a division was going to come amongst the Muslims and that it was going to last a long time. And unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with. We have to take care of home first, our house. We got to really do some house cleaning. There's so much division in the deen amongst us, till it makes it hard for us to see the light. And our enemies are taking undue advantage of that. Yes, sister.
It's because we have to take care of our home in life. We also don't let somebody step on us. We have to speak up and take a strong stand. Because when you take that strong stand, they back off.
Well, trust me, we do that. You got 4 historical battles in Islam to tell you we not no chumps. Okay, we don't lay down and roll over. We don't turn the other cheek. So that to your point, yes, indeed. Let me finish some points Imam Muhammad was making. He says political awareness is the awareness of how political involvement betters or worsens our situation. And we cannot be politically aware without being aware of our particular situation. And our particular situation here is that we're not being serviced by either party, not in our best interest, maybe in their best interest, but certainly not in our best interest. Well, how do we know this? Because we're still dealing with blighted communities. We're still dealing with unemployment, high unemployment rates, or low employment jobs that hardly pay anything. We're still dealing with environmental racism. We're being dumped on with chemicals from everywhere, Brother Imam.
Something, you say it because when you go back into the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when the Muhajirs was coming to Medina, the Prophet asked the Ansars to open up their home and to share some of what they had with the Ansars.
Yes.
They try to say that's socialism. It is socialism. It's a positive socialism
Yes.
that works to help the whole of the society. Our society has become materialistic and mechanical. What I'm trying to say about the war.
Militaristic.
Militaristic. They have become materialistic and militaristic.
President Eisenhower warned us of that.
Yeah, and so that means the concern is really not about the common man more so than it is about dominating. And Allah looks down on that.
Yes.
So, what we see might be seen as a success in what Israel is doing. It's not going to be a success. I mean, it looks bad right now, you know what I'm saying? But Allah, like my mother used to say, Allah ain't finished with you yet.
That's right.
And Allah ain't finished with that situation
Exactly.
yet. But the Muslims have to own up to realize that Allah says, anything, like you said, anything good happen to you is from Allah, and anything bad happen to you is from your own hand.
Yes.
So when Imam Muhammad said that they should take a look at how the African Americans dealt with our emancipation here in America, and that they should not get emotionally charged and look at how we did and do the same thing. They ignored him, didn't listen to him, and did it the way they wanted to do it.
And look what happened.
Because they'd be more, they have more sympathy if they just threw rocks at the feet.
They would have the world on their side if they kept throwing the rocks and they seeing how the tyrant was dealing with them with weapons of mass destruction.
And don't lose your thought, Sister Stephanie. What has happened with that pristine, although it was fake, that pristine, holier than thou image that Israel used to put up around the world, it has crumbled. Everybody sees them for what they are now. Like the little dog that pulled the curtain back and exposed the Wizard of Oz. They see now. And so that sympathy that they used to be able to command throughout the world, that influence is almost gone. It's almost gone. Because people are seeing them for what they are. As I mentioned Friday, how could a nation like that even consider themselves religious at all? Their prime minister, I don't even like to say his name. Yeah, I don't even like to mention his name. He was quoting the Bible. And one of the people in the UN, they checked him so good. They came back and quoted the same quote that he read and asked him, how can he justify reading something like that with the atrocities that he's pulling? I mean, blew him out the water, showed him the hypocrite that he was. I mean, shamed him, let him know you shouldn't even be reading passages from the Bible. She did him in so good. It was so smart and slick to, you just applauding inside the way she handled it. It was so diplomatic. She didn't show no emotion. She didn't talk in an outraged tone. Her intelligence just came through. And the condemnation of their prime minister, it was loud. It went around the world. Your point.
I was thinking when you were saying about the people that are withholding votes because of this situation, where America standing with Israel, you know, it's just like we have fought and fought and fought for right here, but our vote has never been solid. We never stuck all together. That's why we gained crumbs, but we not gained. And with the Muslim Ummah, we get together. Then in the next election, they will have to look at that as a force and do whatever the demand they want. Okay, what do you want? You know, now they bound to the money people that are.
And to your point, sister, because really underneath it all, that's what this is about. They're attacking our Islam. It ain't so much as about the Palestinians per se. They know that it's called the Islamic potential. The Islamic potential spells out good for everybody. It raises up everybody. It takes everybody to good at once. It brings everybody to the promised land. It doesn't exclude anyone. They don't want that. They want to have exclusivity to all of Allah's creation and all of the blessings. And they want to be able to put a price on it and then sell it back out at a retail price to the human beings. And it's not going to happen.
You know, the thing about it is that the Quran brings the purest of what Allah had to say up till today. So you have the leadership that wants to trick the minds of the people, giving them what they have wrote with their own hands. They have a book that the Jews go by. It's called the Canute. I think that's the name of it. That's the real Jewish Bible.
They don't follow
It's a passage in there that they was been quoting for a long time where they say, kill all the babies, smash them up against the rock. And the Jewish rabbi was saying the reason why is that they will grow up and then they will become the enemies.
Right.
You know, of you. That's their mind.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. So Allah comes up and he shows us, he says that all of us are created honorable. And it's our situations that make us different.
Yes.
And whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So Allah comes back and negate that. And we have to see, and we don't have no big dollar thing going on in America. No radio station, you know, like Moody Bible radio station, or no television station, or anything like that, you know, and then all the Muslims with the real money hide in the suburbs, but they don't support, you know, the
true programs that promote dawah.
People that like us going into the streets trying to get the message out. You understand, to make the message bigger. We're not doing it. So, you know, why should we not be exempt from the flood waters that's about to hit our doorsteps too?
To your point, the Imam said, quoting once again, he says, what we want our situation to be as a people or as a community should decide our political involvement. So we got to your point, we got to decide what we want. Do you really want to be free? Or do you want a neo-freedom, a pseudo-freedom, so to speak? A freedom that has so many strings attached to, at the end of the day, you know you're not free. So he's putting forth the question, says, getting involved politically should be an activity that not only registers our disapproval of things, but also our approval. So he's on the right track, he's on point, he's pointing these things out. And if we're going to stay connected to this so-called political process, then we got to do a deeper dive. We got to find a way that we can unify and that we can make those so-called leaders accountable. And really the way they do it is the way they got in. They was voted in, right? And you vote them out. But if you don't have a block that runs like that, that operates like that, then your political future is always going to be wavy. Yes.
I agree with all of that. The only thing is that I agree with the thing about the two parties aren't really doing anything for us. But if I want to do a symbolic thing and say, well, I'm not gonna vote for her because she's just gonna uphold the current thing, for sure, when he gets in there, that 2025 plan, or Alon knows the best, but our 2025
Let me-
plan that they've been preparing, they like for Roe versus Wade and everything, and the Supreme Court, they have been studying that and setting up for that for 50 years. So we gotta have a short-range plan and a long-range plan, and for me, I don't want to facilitate him of being able to have another office, to be able to get off of all the current that he has committed. So I'm swallowing the pill the hard way and going to get here.
Okay, but that's a good thing, because back to Imam Kareem's point, it's an illusion of choice.
Mhm.
The two parties, the good cop, bad cop situation is going to exist, and they use that scare tactic on us to control us. Our best situation as Muslims, the best thing that we could do would be to really try to form our own political bloc. And I don't know why. What is so hard about that? Because everybody will come to court us if the Muslims, just right in America, moved as a bloc. But it's hard because we're divided.
Sister Stephanie make a valid point. If you're aware, you are weighing the ignorant person, the ruthless person, the person that only have his interests against the person who wants to continue the war of bombing Gaza, expanding into the other country they just went into. Lebanon, expanding into Lebanon, and now retaliate against Iran. Okay, so here it is. This is what we are up against, in this here election for the choices that we got to choose from. Because either one of them gets in there, or not is going to continue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was telling the person that it's embodied in the laws of these lands. It's hard for anyone that seeks the office of president to circumvent or to get around that you have to support Israel. They've made it a law. It's on the books. And if they even have any idea that you're not going to support that, you don't have a snowball's chance in hell of becoming president. And in addition to that, it might blow your head off. Okay? So this is why we're going to be continuously stuck into this situation until we do as our religion tells us. We got to rise up and do what Allah wants us to do and separate ourselves from this nonsense that's going on. Here's the most dangerous thing that we should consider. The most dangerous thing. Trump is a composite of what the majority of white America thinks. That's the scary part. Not him. We're talking about 3/4 of a nation of people who think like this.
Always thought that.
And have always thought like this, and now that they out with it, they don't even try to conceal it anymore. That's the most dangerous situation of all. Because we're dealing with a physical presence, and they have access to resources in which they can come at us with a physical oppression, and then it can escalate from there. And it can really put us in a plight and put us in a bond. We'll be trying to swap places with the Palestinians if we don't watch out. Because when you think about it, and I've seen this, and to show you how the media works. Even when they show you the Palestinians and the environment and the rich village and things like that, they don't never show you the Palestinians that look like me and you, because that's mostly who they're killing. And the media is not going to tell you that, because that presents a different part of the race card that will make it so intolerable for us. We will put so much pressure on that government, because we will see it as the same way we saw the African apartheid in South Africa, which was hurting who? People of African descent. And we gathered up enough strength around the world and we shut it down, well, at least superficially. I mean, it still exists, but not in the open and not through the laws that they used to be able to put forth. And the same thing we would have to do in our situation. We have to tear the house down and rebuild it. You tear the political house down and rebuild it, and you build it based on the same way you would establish a masjid. It has to be built on taqwa. If we don't establish it on taqwa, then we're going to keep going around in a circle and keep chasing our tails. Back to what the Imam says. He says, there's a strong tendency in people, and especially the African American, to voice disapproval and to build a political campaign on disapproval. And we do. Just to kind of interpret what he's saying here, we'll sit around and wait for the 2 and the 4 year terms to come around, and when the politicians come out with all of their advertisement, and we'll sit around and wait to receive it. But in between time, we don't approach them, we don't make them accountable, we don't say anything. And that's how we get taken advantage of and taken for granted, because we wait till political season comes in, which is short term and all led by design. And then here we come on to do something that, for the most part, we're powerless against, because we didn't get involved in the process in its original form, in its original state. He said we should begin our political campaign based on what we approve of, and from that we should decide on what we disapprove. So we already know what we approve of. We want leadership with high moral standards. We want leadership that ain't corrupt. We want leadership that feels the need, that feels the need to service all of the people. Not somebody say, oh, if I become president, I'm gonna be president for everybody. No, we gotta really feel that, know this, and experience it. And the only way that happens is we go back to policy. Policy. So if policy is not a part of that, meaning that wisdom is put in place in this decision making, then we have to scrap it again. And we back to square one with nothing. This approach, the Imam says, this approach is better than just responding emotionally and voicing every complaint about everything that troubles our soul or hurts us inside or hurts our community. There it is. Be proactive. That's exactly what he's saying. We got to stay proactive. Once again, we are adhering to the overall principles of our religion. Islam is a religion of life. It connotes that you be active, as we're told, from the cradle to the grave. You have to participate. You have to be in action. You have to be in movement. If you steal and you're not doing nothing, the only one reason for that, you're dead. You're spiritually dead or you're physically dead. Yes, sir.
Islam is peace.
It's peace. It gives us the peace that we need. But that call to action, hayya ala salat, that's where you come to the prayer, hayya ala falah. Falah, come to the success, but falah also means come to the salvation. Falah means salvation. So if you want to be saved, Allah just gave you an out. He told you what to come to. You come to La ilaha illallah Muhammadin Rasulullah. There's the salvation right there. Everything else gonna fall into place as we make it happen. When I say fall into place, I mean it's not gonna happen without activity on our part. We gotta make it happen. It's not gonna do us any good. We sit up, we making dua, And that's all we do is uttering some words and don't no action follow behind that. We'll be guilty of other religious bodies who do that very thing. They just utter some words and they don't follow it up with no action. It's an empty prayer. It's an empty prayer. Question.
I think that we have to, you know, this election now is predominating over all discourse, but after the election, then, you know, that's gonna happen one way or the other, but we need to still focus on
What we're going to do, what we're going to continuously do for us.
all the way around.
Yes.
It's not waiting to vote for somebody that's gonna do it. What can we do to make the end?
Well, we can continue to try to establish an Islamic political movement. I really, really think that's where we need to send some of our energy because it's the one thing we don't have. In certain cities, they have Muslim political movements in certain cities.
So,
Yeah, but it's not enough to help the collective body. And that's what we got to think. We got to think in terms of how can we come to the collective? If we can't bring the collective together, it makes our success just that much harder. It makes our goals just that much harder. What's up, Louis?
Just think about how some of the candidates mentioned, they're catering to the Spanish vote, or Mexican American vote. And
The LGBT LMNOQ.
and like you said, they should have in mind,
I'm
they should have in mind they should have in their mind a part of Islamic vote.
But-
When you think about according to the Mexican American.
Yeah, but see here, our situation is like this. I don't know, we don't seem to know how to draw the line between the secular influence and the religious influence. And I don't know why we don't think we know how to do that, because that's another big part of this of our religion. Our religion calls for us at all times and on all levels to strive for balance. Every day you wake up, everything that you engage in, you look for a balance in it. Because in balance is justice, in balance is honor, in balance is correctness, in balance, all of the essential things that you need. When you balance a thing, you achieve that. How do we know? Because when you deal with situations that cause an imbalance, then it causes negative stuff to happen. Yeah. So we have to always seek to have balance in everything that we do, some kind of balance. It brings equality. You know, our whole system of salat is set up for that, to check us, to make sure that we have checks and balances in the things that we do. Imam says, without great numbers and our political involvement and support for political leaders, our allegiance and support for the Democratic Party should have produced much more than what it has. Our political involvement has not produced what it should, because for most of us, it is only an exercise in the expression of grievances for relief in the soul of the spirit. And a troubled people or community should take care to know of how much its effort and involvement are aimed only at spiritual relief. So it goes back to what I just said. It's a balance. We have to make sure we have enough spiritual essence in us, just as well as we address those material concerns. We're told to get balance in both of them. What happens if you become too spiritual? You become unbalanced. And then all you're looking for is the by and by. You're looking for something holy. And what you may need at that time might not even present itself on that platform or on that level. Then you go to the other extreme. You know, you so politically involved, you so conscious of trying to win, that you leave your moral qualities behind. You're trying to win at any cost. And to that point, I want to say this before because it keeps coming to my mind, and it keeps flying out my mind. I am venturing into opinion now. I'm gonna preface that. we really don't have to worry about Trump becoming president. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the same people that started the pandemic, they don't want to go through that no more. They lost so much control. It didn't unfold like they thought. They almost lost the world, their world. They almost lost the world. They don't want to do that no more. And the reason being because if the whole world is trapped up in a scheme like that, the very thing that they want to do becomes fruitless, which is to amass money and power. There's no use for it. Won't be no need for it. If the world fell apart and everything, they won't be able to spend that wealth. They won't be able to accumulate anything. And that's my opinion. That's my take on it. That's why I know they using scare tactics and they gonna bring that man as closest to it look like he gonna get that seat, but they gonna snatch that rug from under him. They can't afford the chaos that he has admitted that he would bring, that he's not even gonna follow their whims. He's told them that, yes.
Well, for one, it's not gonna win because there's something that nobody is looking at and haven't really recognized it. And probably they have now because it's been on the news. But he's not gonna win because if he wins, then we lose all connection to this world. We will be a lonely country. Kamala Harris has to win because Mexico already has their first woman president. So we have to have the same.
I wouldn't base it on that. I disagree with you.
We have to.
I wouldn't base it on Mexico because Mexico has their first woman president. We have to have it too. That'd be a little shallow. I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
We have to try to make history just like they did.
Be careful. See, once again, you venturing into emotionalism. That particular history is not as important as us getting correct governance. History making the first black woman president, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That don't ring with me. That's not important. That's with me. That's not important. Say that again.
Mexico already had its first black.
Well, yeah, they did. A matter of fact, what was his name? Valente, Vicente.
How do you say black to Mexico?
Negro.
No, I mean, how are you saying that a person from Mexico has a black president?
No, they had, I think what Rayana's referencing, there was a time when Mexico first got its independence and was moving along politically, its first president was black. Yeah, he's the one that started paper money. He's the one that started public education, and he's the one that started Cinco de Mayo. I'll bring the history and read it to you. If you got Dr. Claude Anderson's Dirty Little Secrets book, it's in there.
I thought you meant current history.
Yeah, no. She's saying currently that Mexico has elected a woman president. Yeah, recently, yeah. But they had a black president, and most Mexicans are unfamiliar with that history. Yeah.
Tubman or whatever you call her name.
Harriet Tubman.
In this country, they make the history sound like she only went up on top. But in Mexico, when I was there living 10 years, I have friends, kids that had history. No, she went all the way down. That's why if you look at a picture of her, she looks like a tired woman, They traveled long and far because she went up and she went down. In Mexico, when they freed the slaves and he put in the constitution in Mexico, that there is no slavery no more.
Once again, yes, I think his name was Vicente. I can't remember all of his name, but he actually the other thing, the reason why he's even mentioned in history, and one of the things they tried to omit, he was Muslim. He was Islamically influenced. Yeah, and so, like I said, he established public education, currency. It set up the recognition of Cinco de Mayo. He did a lot of things that helped that country, and he was also responsible, to your point, Sister Rayon, when they came out of Texas, the people of the Alamo, and they brought their slaves because all across America it was falling. Slavery had been abolished. So they were moving west. And they brought their slaves into Texas, the part of Texas that was still Mexico at the time. So the president, he told them, he sent out to their leadership, he says, slavery is abolished here. We don't have it. We're not going to tolerate it. You can't bring slaves here. They wrote back to him and say, oh, they're not slaves. They're just volunteers. They want to have this life. This is what it is. So they insulted the president, talking about that the slaves wanted to be slaves. So he gave them an ultimatum. Leave the slaves, abolish the slavery, or I'm going to send the army. They said, no, we're going to fight tooth and nail. And that's when they set up the Alamo. So they set up the Alamo, and the way the history gives us, like David Crockett and Daniel Boone, they was fighting for their rights and all. No, they were fighting to hold slavery. That's what they were fighting for. And that's why when the general, oh, I'm having a mental block. The General Santa Anna was sent there. Yeah, and he routed. I mean, he told the American army up. He told them a new one. Got slavery up out of there. So, fast forward, long story short, Santa Anna was in love with this. She was a Mexican girl. But she was really mulatto. She was half breed, and she was considered one of the most beautiful women at that time. And he wanted her, and he wanted her. So he went and he got her, but her mother intervened in so many words, saying, you're not gonna turn my daughter into a harlot. You're gonna marry her. You're gonna make her an honest woman. Blah 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 blah. So he pulls off a fake marriage, just so he can have her. But here's the conclusion. This is what had happened. This is where you get this expression, caught with your pants down. They were in the midst of that particular act when the soldiers, Sam Houston had put together an army, and they swamped his army and they routed them. And they caught him in the act with his pants down. And that's how he was arrested, and they took out the Mexican army. And that's how you got the name Houston, Texas. Sam Houston was awarded that city, and it was named in his honor for his defeat of the Mexican army. So there you have it, just a little history.
Black president in North America and second president of Mexico was
Vicente, that's him.
to the 1830s.
Yes, Vicente Guerrero.
Abolished slavery there in 1829, 30 years before the American Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes, yes. Like I said, I had some other history. He was Islamically influenced. He was Muslim. They don't want to tell you that part. They won't tell you that part. When I went down to the Yucatan in South America to visit the pyramids, and our guide, he was just so proud. He was spitting all the history about the Mexicans and blah, 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 blah. And then I interjected that history. And he just shut him down because he didn't know anything about it. He had never heard it. All the Mexicans that were standing around me, they was like standing in shock and in awe because they had never heard it. And I gave them the reference. And now, even though I don't know at that time if they could have pulled it up, but the sister just did it, so you can Google it now. It's there. Now, the first president was who? Black president. Who was the first black president? You say it was two. America had two. You mentioned the second one, which was Vicente. Who was the first black president?
Oh, in North America.
In North America. Who was the first black president?
Another thing, they don't tell
He
you
might-
here,
Who? No.
I live,
Hamilton.
Oh,
Alexander Hamilton. That's why they made that play. He's on your $2 bill signing the Declaration of Independence. Matter of fact, he's one of the most prolific authors of it. They couldn't have done it without him. And once again, he was Muslim, and they keeps that out to history. He was Muslim. They don't want to. They keep that out to history.
and I lived in Veracruz, is Yenga. He was the first African in Mexico to hide out in the jungle, and the Spaniards gave him his own town.
Oh yeah, they John Horse was like that. They had a lot of notables that took Africans, joined forces with them, and disappeared into the Florida Everglades and created communities, large African Muslim communities. As a matter of fact, those Africans that escaped into those areas, the majority of them were Islamically influenced, and that's why you have those different names. Alabama is Arabic. Tallahassee is Arabic. Yeah, yeah, it's Arabic. Yeah. All you gotta do is look at trace his roots back and you'll find out what it means. All you gotta do is find out what the word Bama means in Arabic, and you'll know what it. There's a street, Aberdeen. That's Arabic. And all throughout the South, you see what they call Indian names are really Islamic names. Yeah, Mississippi. They all of them, they come from Arabic. All of it has Arabic root in it. We're gonna wrap this up. I want to finish sharing with you some more what the leader has told us, because he also goes on to say this about what we need to do. Our political involvement has not produced what it should, because for most of us, I read this, it's only an exercise in the expression of grievances for the relief in the soul or the spirit. But he goes on to say, a troubled people or a community should take care to know of how much its effort and involvement are aimed only at spiritual relief. That is why there is no real relief in our community life. There's also no relief in our business life and as a people, because we are motivated by an urge to seek mere spiritual relief. So we have a tendency to bleed our spiritual concerns into a lot of things that it would serve us best if we check those spiritual concerns. And why do we say that? Because sometimes the spiritual concern will overwhelm you and blind you. You get too much light. Brother Imam?
It's what you're talking about right now about the over spiritual. I remember the meeting of Imam Muhammad. He was talking about the meaning of the sacrifice of Abraham's son, Ishmael, the son of Abraham. He said that has a reflection, has a meaning, connection with people who are over spiritual, because if you're too spiritual, you won't be able to advance yourself in life. You won't be able to make a connection, understand.
Exactly.
People have a tendency to be over spiritual, and so it's the sacrificing that part of your life that is too spiritual. You're giving yourself to the wolves and the predators of the society, the leaders, just like today.
Yes.
So you have to balance.
You got to have that balance. You got to have it.
Rational balance, which is Ibrahim, and the spiritual balance of his son Ibrahim. So you have to have that balance, so you won't be devoured by predators.
And to your point, I had a conversation with a brother yesterday because we was talking about spiritual development. And I use the analogy the same way that our Christian brothers and sisters will look at their development. They go to church, they go to the physical church, to the building. Inside the building, they create an atmosphere. A spiritual atmosphere is created, and they all benefit from that. It charges them, they're energized by it. It allows them to accomplish certain things. And the overall picture is that they know that the church symbolically does that. That's what it's erected for. So they come there. And it's the same way when we come here. There, the physical presence, the charge we get from being around one another. Allah says only He can create that love. So when we come together, and we come together on Fridays for that, for the Jummah, that's the atmosphere we're supposed to create. Not an atmosphere of contention, not an atmosphere of chaos, not an atmosphere of confusion, not an atmosphere of any of those negativities. We come to dispel all that. So we come, that's why at the end of the Jummah Khutbah, you make it sunnahs, you're giving each other salams, you're hugging one another. We're supposed to be socializing. not immediately, and then run right back out to the streets. And we've been guilty of that. But the whole purpose of why the Juma is situated the way it is, the time and all, because it allows you time to socialize. It's like a mini Hajj. That's what it is. It's like mini Hajj every Friday. And that's why Allah liking that. That's why he says Friday is his favorite day. It's his best day. The day he created the creation, the day he created Adam and took him back. So it's the Juma, he said that's the best day. It's his favorite day. And he has expressed through the creation how we are to see that as the best day. We come together for worship, and we are told, even though we may not always adhere to it, but I want to put this out there, especially to the listening audience and to our younger Muslims. Don't lose your thought. Please don't lose your thought. You're supposed to come to Juma spiffy. You're supposed to come to Juma dressed. Like the Christians go to church, they call it his Sunday best. And I remember Imam Muhammad saying this one time. He said, whatever you got that's clean, if it's clean and that's your best what you got today, then wear it. But don't come to the Juma looking like somebody just throwed you out with the garbage. You know, this is why we are cautioned to check people that come in with shorts on. That's not the proper attire. You know, the wrong kind of fitting clothing, it's not the proper attire. We're not to wear anything that distracts one another from salat. You know, so you don't come in here with all these lights on behind. You don't come in with all that on your clothes all lit up. But we are to dress nice. And I mean, we dress nice and look good. But to that point, there's balance. We still have to look for balance in all of that. And if we do that, we can't go wrong. We can't go wrong. So oh yeah, we did good. I'm right up on the hour. I'm gonna share with you one more thing from Imam Muhammad. Yes. What's Tahida? Oh, don't. I'm sorry, brother Omar. I forget. What was your comment?
See, that's why I felt so good yesterday. My birthday fell on Juma Day.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Now you got to go back and look at that. There's some beautiful signs in that. Yeah, some beautiful signs in that. I always in the world of numerology, and I would suggest this. You're going to take your birthday, the month, the year, the day and the year, the numbers. Go into the Quran and look up those surahs. Look up the surah that's tied to the year, the day, and the month you was born. And go to those surahs. And then in those same surahs, go to those ayats with the same number. So if you was born 6/30/55, something like that, you're going to go to Surah 6, Surah 30, Surah 55. You're going to go look at Ayat 6, Ayat 30, Ayat 55. And it's almost like a fortune cookie. I hate to use that analogy for Quran. Y'all have to be, I'm not the most articulate and eloquent person, so stuff like that will pop out my head. But it's likened to that because what it's going to show you, what it's going to tell you, it will help you exact your character. Because we are told we're supposed to live Quran, right? And those ayats, those surahs, they are to become a part of our being, our makeup. We strive to make our character like that which is in the Quran because it reflects the attributes of Allah. So when you look at that formula, you're going to see a lot of yourself. You might see something you don't like, but you're going to see it's only going to show you that for improvement. Yeah.
But she was born in 1936, so she looked up 36.
She would look up 36. 38? Yeah. So Surah 38, Ayah 38. You're going to look at that and read it. It's going to tell you something really important. It's numerology. The Prophet wasn't against that. The Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he had dreams, sometimes it would be in numbers and he would talk about those things. But this is a system that if you want to, and it's really for entertainment, but it has a lot of truth, a lot of validity to it. You look up the year you was born, the day you was born, and the month you was born. Look those up and look up each surah of the Quran.
So, cause, how did that, so you said the year you was born, so like, okay, so 1960, what you saying?
Okay, so you're not gonna find a surah 60, right? I mean, there's a surah 60 in the Quran, right? Right.
But I'm saying 1960.
You look up 6 and 19, all the numbers. All the numbers.
So you saying you look up Surah 19?
And Surah 60, yes. Then go to Ayat 19 and Ayat 60 in those surahs and read them. The same way on,
So what about the month and the day?
same thing, the month and the day. Go to that surah, go to that Ayat. The day you was born, the 18th. Go to Surah 18, go to Ayat 18. The month, say the 4th month, go to Surah 4, Ayat 4. Yeah. If it's like for most of us, all of us, we got the 4 numbers. So you're gonna look at the 19 and you're gonna look at the number that comes behind that.
Each one of it's sort.
Yes.
It's like 2012, but Surah 22.
Yes. Yes. Surah 20, yes.
Like, if you pass my house right now, it's very cold, right? But my house, if you go and look at the bushes and everything, you'll see cobwebs everywhere. You'll see the rose is still going. So one day I looked up about the Prophet Muhammad and his wife and how he gave her a rose. And that's when I knew Allah's in this house.
I'm going to bring our Imam up here for closing comments. I want to share this with you all from Imam Muhammad. A sense of sacred destiny. Each individual has a goal or a destiny that Allah is influencing. To reach for those high achievements that your collective conscience has inspired you to, you should have a sense of sacred destiny. Anytime a people have been reduced to a level lower than that of any other cultural group, if they have any belief in Allah, they should think that they have a sacred destiny. The children of Israel in Egypt did not believe that their suffering was without an answer. And so under Moses, they came to believe that they had a sacred destiny. So Moses, as their prophet, made them realize that in their existence, that there was a sacred destiny that leads to Allah, that if they follow it, they would have success. A part of that success was being told that they would get the promised land, right? That was a part of that. But they lost their faith. They lost their faith, and because they lost their faith, they got disconnected from the destiny. And this is the same thing that holds true for us and any other people. If we're not focused on the goal of what our destiny should be, then we're going to stay in the muck and mire of the problems that are created by the world and by our own selves. It behooves us, dear believers, to push hard, to work hard from within, to straighten up everything that it takes for us from within so that we can come together collectively. I'm not going to read it, but that's what Hujarat was about Friday. It was talking about the internal and external policies of our souls. And that's why the prophet, the first 2 ayats when I read it, it says, don't go ahead of Allah. And then the second ayat mentions, don't go ahead of the prophet. These things are being told to us as a warning, an admonishment. Don't try to outthink Allah. Surely don't try to outthink Allah. And if you're trying to outthink his prophet, then you're trying to outthink Allah. No, you leave those whims, leave those devices to the shared team. We don't engage in that. Because when you throw yourself out there like that and you jump ahead of what Allah has established and said, and you jump ahead what we know the prophet supports, you will wind up supporting somebody like former Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, and people of that ilk, because you're not thinking. You're not thinking. So with that, I'm just going to make a short dua and close myself out. But the Imam is going to come up and give us some report and give us some closing remarks. And once again, I thank you all for your patience and for allowing me to come before you and express these things. As always, any mistakes made up here are solely my own. I own up to them. And all of the good that comes from this, we totally give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Our Lord, let our hearts not be divided now that you have guided us, but grant us from your own presence, for truly you are the granter of bounties without measure. Amen. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Everything.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We thank Imam Tamir for that reminder, that presentation, and our obligation to be in the political process, you know. But we be in the political process, like he said, from our standards, from our way of life, you know, not from like he said, emotional choices or anything like that, you know. We have a few things that's coming up that I'd like to give us a reminder of. This Saturday, the Council of Islamic Organization is having their gala, and I think it's going to be in Naperville. And the Bahar Center is going to get a half a table, and I have to let them know tomorrow the names of people who are going. And I'm asking you all to, if you can, to support this gala event next Saturday.
This Saturday or next Saturday?
This Saturday, I'm sorry, yes, this.
Well,
Yes, the 12th, right. So it's going to be from 6 to 8. Yeah, it's going to be from 6 to 8. So we're not going to be out there, you know, no, all hours of the night. Remember, it used to be like 10 o'clock or whatever. So they changed in the time schedule, and they have really streamlined the event. So we are a part of the Council of Islamic Organizations. We're working, you know, to find better solutions for our community, and we want to try to support this event. Also, Brother Dennis Muhammad is having a event that's coming up. Or is it in November?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
November the 16th.
November the 16th. So his tickets for this, and read what that event is. Could you really?
It says, okay, due to self-distinguished achievement award at Gala Black Hat event,
Mhm,
honoring our heroes and, what's it, heroes,
mhm,
live entertainment and dinner,
mhm,
Saturday, November the 16th, 2024,
mhm,
Hilton Hotel in Oakland,
mhm,
9333 South Sister Road,
mhm,
Grand Ballroom.
mhm.
For ticket information, they have the number here, call
Well, she said she already looked it up.
It's $150.
$50.
Okay, so tickets for that event is $150, and that is supposed to be for dinner and entertainment. So he has groups. I don't know what the name of the groups that's supposed to be there.
Blue Note and Ray Gilman and Brian.
Okay, Blue Notes and Ray Goodman and Brown. You know, so we're encouraging, if you can, to support that event. You know, if you want a nice evening out, you know, go someplace.
go some place, support something that one of your brothers and sisters is putting together, you know, and have a nice time. You know, you're gonna have dinner and you're gonna have a show, you know.
Yeah, you all went to the one at Loop Hotel.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah. Yeah.
This
You
gonna
know.
be even better.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah.
And we had more control.
Yeah.
At the Loop, by being outdoors, y'all don't know the stuff that went on behind the scenes.
Yeah. He was telling me. So alhamdulillah. Right.
This is gonna be so spectacular. You all gonna enjoy it. You're gonna really-
Yes, the one that's coming.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do have help, a little bit of help. Sister Monica has agreed to do our news, our announcements and whatnot. So that's going to help us to be able to get our messages out. So if we have any anything that has to go into the that you have announcement for, we need to at least get it to her by Tuesday. Is that a good day? Get it to her by Tuesday of the beginning of that week for that announcement get in. And if it's it'll be up to her if she recognize announcements after that date, you know, unless I call her and let her know I got an emergency announcement, that's a different story. But it'll be up to her after that date, if she had put the announcements together and already emailed it to us, you know, for printing, then we'll go from there. But, pardon me?
To give her our email, like paper.
Actually, we should give her,
I'll make available my phone.
yeah, right. Yeah, her email, right.
Well, it's racing around, just send it to me. And I'll run through it with email more, if it's approved, I'll put it up.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so a reminder, when the clocks go back an hour in the fall, the Juma Salat is going to start at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Now, I'm making this announcement because I know some of y'all gonna come here at 1 o'clock. You're gonna be coming in, and then I'm gonna have to remind you that I started telling you this in October before November got here, that we was gonna be doing it at 12 o'clock. So when you go, oh, I forgot, I told you. So I'm gonna keep this in the announcement. Sister Monica, put that into the announcements also. Yeah, that the Juma Salat, when the time go back, that we're gonna start the Juma Salat is gonna be at 12 o'clock.
Right, 'cause
Yeah, because daylight saving is what they call it in fall,
Yeah.
fall back, yeah, daylight, yeah, and daylight saving time.
here
Right,
still be
right.
what we would have.
That would be Sunday, November the 3rd.
Okay.
Huh?
Sunday, November the 3rd, the time.
Our first.
Yeah,
Daylight savings time ends in Chicago on Sunday, November the 3rd at 2 a.m.
yeah. So that means that following Friday, we'll be at Juma at 12 o'clock. So hopefully Imam Lawrence will make sure that Imam Mansour and everybody else would know about the changes. Mhm. Right, you know, so if that's gonna be a conflict with their schedule, we have to know how to adjust our schedules to make up for that spot. Also, it was something else. What else was it? Anyone? Well, not really, but I told you all already that I went down Friday and I filed for exemption for the last 3 years. So the lady said that everything looks good on the paperwork, so she'll submit it and we'll know something within a few months. And we did file for a certificate of error, and I did that the following week before that. And they are going to let us know, I think she said it's going to be about 6 weeks before we know if we get that certificate of error. So and we had already gotten our property tax exemption status back. So everything worked like the brother told us in the beginning. In April, when we filed for our refile for our property taxes exempt status, that we could not do anything until we got that property tax exempt status. So now we got it, and it's right. Now we're able to do something. All right, now we're able to go back 3 years. Now we're able to go this here, you know. So when I first saw it, the only thing I saw was the sky is falling. So I was the chicken running around, the sky is falling. The sky is falling, you know. So
There's a name in there, doesn't it?
oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know.
Tell about your headache, brother.
Oh,
About your headache.
oh yeah. Last what was that, day before yesterday, you know, with everything that I got going on, you know, with family and this community, I just had a migraine headache that was so bad last Wednesday that the only thing I could do was just lay down and take 2 Aleve. And I haven't took Aleve in a long time, but that's the only thing that I could do to calm my mind, you know. But afterwards, you know, I have to realize that, you know, you have to let go and let God, as they say, you know, and that's the way you do it. We do need some help in filing for some other exemptions that we do qualify for. We have qualified for our water bill tax exemption from paying water bill on the one side, but we never got around to applying for the exemption for water bill on this side, 2023.
Online.
Yes, so we need to find out how we could do that online, and also exemption from gas bill, you know? So we haven't even applied for exemption for gas bill. All of that falls up under religious organization exemptions. You know, I don't know why, but we were applying for those things and we got to a point we just stopped and we never picked it back up, you know. So my thing is, if we can apply for it, those are our exemptions. And then, you know, just, you know, Allah bless us to use these monies that we're doing to continue to do our outreach work. Now, they offered me to take turkeys for the pardon me? Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. That's CIOGC. So I told them we wasn't going to be taking any turkeys this year because the last time I was here, I had to meet the people, and then we don't have no place to store the turkeys. You know, then people have to be here to pick the turkeys up and stuff like that. You know, until I could assign or delegate somebody to be responsible for that, then we'll pick that up. We'll pick that up. Also, they're going to have coats for the winter coats. So we are going to get packages of that for our homeless. So we're going to get packages of about we'll probably get 200, maybe 300 coats of different sizes, because the last time I just got like 175, and them coats went just like that when we went out there to feeding the clothing of the homeless, and it was not enough coats. So we'll get more coats this year and see how that works out, you know.
Good fundraising, do those turkeys and everything, you know, we're available on this day, and give them out to the public, give them out to the community.
Yeah, but I have to have somebody to delegate that responsibility as many as we asked for.
How many?
Well, the last time I just asked for, I think it was 15, and that was enough for people that was here. That was it. And then you all came by and you picked up the turkeys.
About two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they halal? They halal.
They're allowed.
Yeah, they're halal, yes. Yeah, this is coming from the Council of Islamic Organization.
Let me talk to my sister and see if she has space in her freezer. And if
Well-
we can, you can store them. and we can
Well,
put them-
see, the thing is, again, somebody has to be here to meet the truck
what
and to
time,
pick it up.
what time,
Right,
or they could drop it off to her location.
right, right.
If it's off within someone.
Yeah.
Let me look and see.
Yeah, and yeah, because I gotta call them because,
For EBC to get off Turkey.
yeah,
To go to everything,
mm-hmm,
what be more exposure for us?
yes.
I'm looking at it from,
I know, but I can store some of them too.
Look, let me tell you, look, I have mentioned this, but you ain't hear nobody say, I'll be here. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but you have to have, you could be here, but you still have to have keys. I can't, yeah, and I don't know what day it is.
be here.
Yeah, right,
Be fine.
yeah, and because I don't know,
All have keys, so I-
yeah.
the post-
So
Yeah.
my thing is, I don't, so I gotta call them tomorrow.
That would be such a good thing to put flyers out, and say ECC giving away turkeys.
Yeah,
Allow turkeys.
yeah,
It would be such a good,
yeah,
We might be overwhelmed.
it
yeah.
would be such a good,
Can we get it? Can it happen?
and then take
Can it-
pictures.
Well, I have to, like I say, I have to find out tomorrow when I call down to this Council of Islamic Organization and whatnot. Now, I'm telling you, y'all, listen, if I do this, all right, and I'm putting it in the hands of those people, I'm delegating to those people that said they'll handle this, okay? Okay, so.
Not find a brother who is responsibility.
Okay, all right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you the number to the Office of the Council of Islamic Organization, and you're gonna represent the Ibn Bahar Culture Center. And you're gonna let them know how many turkeys and what we're gonna do, and we're gonna go from there. All right?
That's why I asked what you recommend.
Well, see, listen, last time I got enough for the people that was here. And that was, I think it was like 17 turkeys. Other people got 100 turkeys. I don't have no place to store 100 turkeys. If we get 100 turkeys, you got to make sure that they are gone and passed out that day.
Yeah.
See?
That's why it has to be, that's why it has.
No,
to be-
see, everybody who's saying that, then you need to be on that committee because you can't call me and say Imam Omar after I have mentioned it to you.
to respond.
Exactly. So anybody who say that like that's yeah,
Fall back on your plate.
exactly.
Well, if I may.
Downstairs, is anything the other pizza downstairs?
Ice is going to be just ice is in there, but you can't put that many turkeys in even a,
What about,
We can always partner up with SWAT now, if on the tail end, if we really need to get rid of some stuff.
Mhm.
Just take it over there to SWAT and they'll get rid of it, make sure it gets in people's hands so it won't go to waste. Now, while speaking on that, we need to really, if we're gonna do allow turkeys, then we need to be about the business of making sure they're properly distributed. One thing you don't want to waste is some that allow names on. I mean, allow names for everything.
Oh, yeah.
But allow turkey, and the one I cooked last year, it was off the chain.
So this needs to go into the announcement that we will have allowed turkeys and it needs to be broadcast to the community.
Yeah, and not just that, you all need to decide how many turkeys.
Like they do with all these other organizations.
Right. You need to decide how many turkeys. Yes.
We need to do this distribution because it's advertisement for the Baja Center, it keeps you on the map.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it keeps you out front and keeps you relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what religious communities do.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's supposed to encourage
Yeah.
people to come,
Mhm.
to say, oh, call the Ephraim Baja, say, oh, these services are available.
Right.
We could put in there, we just,
Yeah.
A brochure.
Yeah.
And say, take this turkey in this brochure about services where we offer the dates and time of Juma, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And we give them that. We do a nice little brochure when they pick up that turkey, just like we do with the Feed the Homeless. We put the little thing in the bag.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's simple and
Right.
we need our name out there.
Mhm.
We need our name out there. We need promotion too.
Yeah.
Because we do so much good stuff, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah. So, alhamdulillah, that's gonna be taken care of. I will give you the number, I got the sister's number yesterday, to her contact number. She's a very wonderful, pleasant sister that, works in the office of the Council of Islamic Organization. So we give her a call tomorrow, about the turkeys and, agree today before how many we're gonna get, and then make the phone call, and then they'll let us know when we could pick it up. Also, yeah, yes. It was, we also, Brother John Shabazz and Sister Fatima house is being sold or lost, or I don't know what it is, but when they passed away, the children are trying to get rid of everything in the house. So Brother Omar, one of the sons, is saying that you are welcome to come by and take a look around and see if there's anything that you want or you could use, because it's going to be gotten rid of. It's going to be gotten rid of. So I was there yesterday, day before yesterday, Friday, I'm sorry. And it's a lot, but I'm not into big furniture. I'm not into big china cabinets that go to the ceiling and stuff like that. But that's what it's, and it's all wood, all good, that heavy wood. Yes, exactly. Dining room tables and different things, phonographs and DVD players and, all that stuff, but they are offering it. So I did get some books for the library here from there, because I couldn't see them throwing. Laughlin on 79th and Laughlin. I can call them. We can call them today. Anybody want to go by and just get the information? Because I told them I will make the announcement today, and then anybody want to go by there after Islamic Perspective Hour, we can just run by there and just look, because it's going to the garbage. Okay, it's going to the garbage. So if it's something that you can walk, he say they got beds.
Get all that stuff. They shouldn't throw that stuff away.
Yeah, well, maybe Goodwill is. I don't know. When I say garbage, maybe Goodwill is. But they have bedds, bedroom sets, and all that stuff, that they just want to get rid of it, Yeah, right. And also, dear believers, we want to remember our sick and shut in. Remember the original founder, Imam Sultan, and his struggles, that Allah bless him, ask Allah to bless him to overcome that Parkinson's, and to give him strength, and to get better. Our brother Rajab and Sister Hanifa, our Sister Shirley, our Sister Bahira, Sister Minnie, Brother Saeed, Sister Amatullah, Sister Latifa Rob, keep all of these pioneers and make dua for them. Yes, ma'am.
I have more cards.
Put ourselves to the task of getting the League Society and
Yeah,
sit out for them.
yeah,
Stuff. She always reminded me that we need grievances cards.
Everything about it.
mm-hmm.
Those who passed away.
Yeah.
So,
Well, look,
coming from the East Baja Center, that's why it was important that we put the East Baja label on there when we send the cards out.
Alhamdulillah.
A return address, so they'll know it's coming from the believers in East Baja.
Good, good. And also, you know what, even though we have not heard from our sister Deborah Garrett, that used to work here, you know, she was going through health problems, you know, and let's keep her also in our du'as. You know, I think about her often, and she was a big help in a lot of ways. Assalamu alaikum. She was a big help in a lot of ways to a lot of things that we was doing here and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, I tried to call it.
Yeah, well, you know, don't worry. If, you know, the thing is, the only thing, if you could,
You consider a card.
yeah,
9344 South Central.
yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Drive past
Yeah.
here, 'cause I
Yeah.
bought a birthday card for her, so we all
Yeah,
in the same
Yeah.
birthday.
exactly, you know. You know, we might have differences, but that don't mean that we can't be civil with one another, you know. So,
She would appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
If we get everybody to sign.
Mhm.
I think Tahita will be the last one to be able to take it to her.
Yeah, so, oh, and you know, as far as I'm learning, see, my thing is, when I find out that we need pioneers in our community that needs help, I try to bring the cavalry. But I'm finding out that some people don't like that. You know, I remember when we did, you know, yeah, if I find out that, you know, that you're in a situation where you need help, you know, and whatnot, you know, I try to let the community go and get people involved and let people, you know, but then I find that, you know, and some people figure it's an invasion of their privacy or whatever. You know, I remember, and some people don't want people to know, and it is a pride thing, you know, you know.
We didn't know because she had stage 4 terminal cancer. She had procedure done that almost took her life.
Yeah,
I just came from up there and I'm like, why'd you call somebody?
yeah, yeah,
My husband's like, when she told me, but you know, that's people like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah. So I don't do it, I don't do it anymore. And I can only do for what I can do, you know. When we was, you know, trying to, yes, when we were trying to help our brother Rajab and sending people over, and it came a problem with the family and stuff like that, you know. And others, and I learned, I said, you know what? I have to make sure that I stay in my lane and do what I do. My heart is, when I see you in a situation like that, I want to try to get as many of the believers that I can to sit back and be there to help you, you know. And one of the sisters, the main sister, Sister Isa too, she always really ready to be there to help. You know what I'm saying? She want to know, well, what can I go do for the pioneers and whatnot, you know? But then, you know, it's not appreciated. It's not, you know, like you say, some people are just so private. They don't want people to know what they're going through, you know, so.
We came over there, you came over there and somebody else came over there, and that, but not that we just forgot about.
Well, we should just.
Exactly.
Representative.
Yeah.
Thinking about, it should probably be a representative to filter what's going on
Yeah,
and then to do what we can do.
exactly.
I remember
You know.
those half a dozen people that signed up with me for the outreach for sick community back in December this year.
Mm-hmm.
Committee still exists. Let's do our due diligence and reach out to those people we can.
Yeah.
If you got anywhere from 2 to 4 people on your plate, and what I mean by that, visiting,
Mhm.
calling on the regular,
Mm-hmm.
trust me, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
When we visit our pioneers and you take the time out of your day or run an errand, going to the store for them, things
Oh, yeah.
of that nature,
Oh, yeah.
it consumes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's rewarding
Mm-hmm.
because it's certainly something that they need because they can't do it for themselves.
Yeah.
And if we, on an individual level, set out to do it, Yeah, it's blessings for us,
Yeah,
but don't be in it with, I did this Allah, you gotta give me this, because that ain't how Allah works.
no, no. You have to do it from your heart.
Yes, that's a
You have to do it
tough-
from your heart.
Yeah, we gotta do this.
You know, and we also have to look for people that are, that might want to do care service. Because there's some Muslims that want to see if they could get other Muslims to be of a support for them. And the state pays so much to have somebody to come to your house and to, give you help and support. And if we know Muslims that are into that might be interested in doing that, then maybe we could let them know also, of that. But at the same time, reach out to the Muslims that are in the sick and shut in and ask them, we need to find out, listen, is it a problem if I let other Muslims know about your situation or give you help or anything like that, and that way, what you could do or how far you could go,
Share your information.
Can we share your information? Exactly, exactly.
Respect, different from the bypass.
Also, I'm glad you mentioned that because we got Brother Raymond. He was in a hospital and he had 3 stents that was put into putting him last week because of clots or beginning to clot. Yeah. So I think he's at home now. He did give me a phone. I actually forgot to call him back to give him a call, but I'll give him a call, inshallah. And I'll share his number with you all too, if you all want, after we're over with. So those are all that I have right now, dear believers, as far as announcements. Don't forget, we got the products back in the back. We got the halal chicken and the halal sausage, the sausage and the links. So get what you need, and we got it. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين 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 الحمد لله رب العالمين